can start now.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining me today. Thank you for your interest in the benefits of music and movement in early years. My name is Sue. I'm the Managing Director of Boogie Mike's music programmes for 25 years now. We, an enthusiastic and passionate team of music teachers, have developed songs and resources informed by the neuroscience evidence to really harness the brain boosting benefits of music in early years. I'm going to share my screen and talk you through a PowerPoint presentation today that covers some of that neuroscience evidence, along with some examples of just how we use recorded music to help us with harnessing the benefits. Hopefully my screen is clear. So we're calling the presentation today Music and Movement, Language and Literacy. And we're covering the neuromusical evidence with a particular look at what we call the superpower of sound processing and rhythmic awareness. So Boogie Mike's mission hasn't changed since we started. We recognised a huge gap in the UK at that time for the training and resources available for our early years educators and parents to really understand and harness the benefits for themselves. So it's our mission to offer early years educators and families the knowledge, resources and confidence to harness those brain boosting fun, it is good fun as well as learning, of active music making every day. And we say you can do it because we stress that you absolutely don't need to be a musician to get involved and to develop your children's musicality. You will actually be developing your own musicality at the same time, because we're all born with an innate musicality, which just takes practice, and enjoying it will help you to want to practice it every day. So I'm going to start off with a little welcome song, which will just demonstrate the sort of body percussion activities, which are quite key to the way that we work with music, and using the neuroscience evidence to really get the brain working, to sequence patterns and rhythms and start to develop that all-important rhythmic awareness. So with children age 1 or 2, we would just be teaching them to clap a steady beat. The neuroscience evidence shows us that children that can keep a steady beat for an extended period of time at the age of 3 will be amongst those who move through their sort of literacy, learning to read without any issues. It's a very close link between keeping a beat and reading skills. So we have a lot of body percussion in our music activities, and we use a recorded music underpinned by a strong steady beat to help us with that. With our youngest, as I say, we would just be doing some counting and some clapping, and then we might put that together. So we've got a slightly more complicated sequence of clapping and tapping our knees, clap and tap, clap and tap. Now I'm aware that you can only see my shoulders, so we will do a more advanced strategy with our sequence today. We'll do tapping our shoulders twice, we'll cross and then tap. So that's our 1, 2, 3, 4 sequence. Tap, tap, cross, tap. We'll keep the beat with the music, and then we'll introduce the welcome song. Do join in with the sequence if you're watching, and you really will experience how the children are going to interact with this music. So as I say, we just start, hopefully. Oh, I need to stop that now, because I've just realized that I didn't share the sound. Excuse me while I share the sound. We'll try that again. Okay. Oop. Oh dear. And now my PowerPoint is not working. Right, let's try that again. Ha! Now we got it. Okay. Clapping count. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's try our sequence. Tap, tap, cross, tap, 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 cross, tap. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep it going. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now keep that going, and I'll introduce the song. Hello, everyone. will be very much engaged with enjoying that sequencing and really developing those neural connections that are so key to foundations for language and literacy. So we're now going to look at some of the neuroscience evidence, and I'm going to introduce Dr. Anita Collins, who we partner with. She's based in Canberra in Australia. She was a lecturer at Canberra University, but now she heads up her own company called Bigger Better Brains, and she's involved in translating scientific research of neuroscientists and psychologists to make the understanding of how music impacts brain development very easy for parents and teachers to understand. If you're interested to listen to her TED Talk, What If Every Child Had Access to Music Education from Birth, I would recommend that. It's a really good watch. She's also published a book called The Musician's Advantage, which really looks deeply into why it is that musicians show an enhanced performance on measures of cognitive flexibility, working memory, and verbal fluency. So I've just put a link there to her website for anybody that's interested to find out more. Now we're going to have a think about the many behavioural skills and capabilities that are developed through regular music interaction, listening, getting involved, dancing, and so on, playing instruments. And really we can think about this without even looking at the neuroscience evidence, and we can think of our own life experience and how we're actually aware of this. For instance, we're starting with looking at memory capability and skills, and I'm sure that you would all have experienced how music sticks in your brain, and songs that you learnt when you were a child you'll still remember, whereas you wouldn't remember conversations you'd had. It's the fact that they're strung together with a melody can mean it's very deeply imprinted in the memory. And this is why companies use music in adverts. They understand that it's a way that people will remember it. And if you know anybody elderly who might be losing their memory around life's experiences, they will still remember the music. It's the last thing to go, and it's sort of the first thing that's imprinted. It's a very deep link with memory. We also can understand that involvement in music is really good for our language and linguistic intelligence. The elements of music, such as tempo, dynamics, pitch, tone, are also the elements of speech and language. And so by developing our ear to hear those elements, we are developing our language and linguistics intelligence, and that kind of makes sense without looking at the studies that show us that that's true. If we think about math skills and capabilities, just that sequence that we did there is a mathematical kind of activity, to put a sequence of actions together and then remembering what comes in the sequence next. And of course, music is very much made of numerical patterns of rhythm and tempo and so on. So the brain is developing mathematical thinking by getting involved in these sorts of musical activities. If we think about motor skills, we did some crossing the midline in that little exercise we just did. Gross motor skills, when we're dancing, we're using all of those lovely big gross motor skills. We're developing our postural control and our balance, which are all important for supporting the human frame, and we can be encouraged to do that through getting involved with music and moving with music. And as far as the fine motor skills are concerned, we are handling small instruments, as we will do actually later in this session, rhythm sticks or drums, and that is encouraging children to develop those all important fine motor skills ready for writing. If we think about self-regulation, I'm sure you can all think of examples of using music in life to keep you calm or to get you excited and celebrating with a group of family. It very much can impact on mood. And there's also the bonding side of music, where you're synchronizing with your group if you're listening to music or dancing together, and that can all impact self-regulation of behavior. If we think about expressing emotions, if you are an educator or a parent, I'm sure you're aware of how children who maybe aren't even verbal yet will be expressing their emotions when they're listening to music, because it is something that is motivated through musical experiences. Then we've got self-esteem, which is all about confidence, and through expressing emotions and communicating, children will develop their self-esteem, their sense of achievement, and sense of reward. Well-being and happiness link very closely together, and we can all relate to the idea that you can feel happy through listening to familiar music, and particularly in a group situation. And actually, when we look at the neuroscience, we know that those happy hormones such as dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins are released in our brain when we're involved with active music making. So now we will look at the neuroscience evidence that shows all of those things and gives us a better understanding of exactly what's going on in the brain when we're involved with music making. So the musician's advantage, this is something that neuroscientists, a term that neuroscientists use because they are trying to understand why the brains of musicians have this very efficient cognitive processing ability. So studies show us that in early years, music making activities are drawing on many different parts of the brain at the same time, and therefore facilitating many different aspects of development. Language and literacy being one of them that we're focusing on today, but all of those other skills that we've just talked about are also being developed through the musical activities. And it is actually one of the most effective activities for influencing brain development at this key stage. So I like this visual aid. It's something that Dr. Anita Collins uses because when neuroscientists first looked at brain activity relating to music interaction, and we're talking about listening, singing, dancing, and playing instruments. And under a CAT scan, they show areas of the brain lighting up when they are activated. And when a brain is activated through music making, it literally lights up everywhere, like fireworks going off in the brain. So I think that's quite a nice visual aid to think of that. And when we actually break that down to the different neural networks that are being stimulated, there are the 6 neural networks connected to the 3 main cortices of the brain, which are seen to be activated through music making. So the supersense network, which is the connection between the auditory, the motor, and the visual cortices of the brain, and that's very much involved with making sense of language. The reward network, which gives us a sense of achievement and motivation, and we already thought about how we have see that in action with feeling a sense of achievement of being involved in music making in a group situation. There's the cognitive neural network, which is otherwise called the engine room, which is working out how to do things, how to process things. It's really that motor sensory integration, taking all the information that the senses are gathering and working out what to do with it. And music is very much activating that network. The perceptual network, which helps us with predicting what comes next, and that's all those lovely sequencing exercises like we did with the tap, tap, cross, tap. The cognition network, working out what does this all mean, what do I like, what don't I like, and the emotional network, which we talked about, affecting mood, resilience, emotions, and very importantly empathy, which is a thing that I'm very interested in at the moment, the effect that music making can have on empathy. So moving on, I'm going to look in a little bit more detail today because we're specifically thinking about language and literacy. We're going to think about what is called by Dr. Anita Collins the magic triangle. So we pick up that term and we talk about the magic triangle of neural networks that connect the visual, the auditory, and the motor cortices of the brain. And there have been many studies done with 3 to 4-year-olds. They show that it's an overlapping neural network that is processing music and processing language, and that this huge number of messages that needs to fire around the brain for children to comprehend language and literacy is such a big jump in their sort of development stage. And this overlapping network with sound processing and rhythmic awareness means and explains why music making activities are very good and effective way of developing these crucial foundations for language and literacy. that link between the magic triangle of the visual, auditory and motor cortices of the brain. So we're strengthening motor sensory integration with link to global development, and that's where it comes in as a superpower. If we're developing sound processing, rhythmic awareness, we are developing this superpower that can impact global development at this key stage of development. So we're going to do another little song now. There's a lot of information to take in, and I really feel it's helpful to do a little example to see what I'm talking about. So One Man Band is a marching song, and children can really coordinate arms and legs, and they can move and march with the beat if they've got a nice marching song to do. This Boogie Mites song also uses memory retrieval skills, because we are going to put together a sequence of 5 actions. You can extend that for the older children, and they need to be remembering the first, the second, the third, and going back each time and adding one on part of the song. We won't go through the whole thing because we're limited on time today, but in the recorded version of the song, and we always supply an instrumental as well, so that it can be different actions used using the children's ideas, and it's a song that you can take outside and sing without the music quite easily as well. So we have a chorus which is, I'm a one-man band, listen to the things that I can do, I can clap my hands. So the first action, we're going to clap our hands, and we clap 3 times. The second action, which we add on second time round, is I can stamp my feet. Stamp, stamp, stamp. The third action we have is I can tap my thighs. Again, 1, 2, 3. And then we have pop like a cork. And our final one is blow like a trumpet. Do, 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 do. So I think the best thing is to get started with this. Let's hope we don't have the same problem with the sound this time. Hopefully you can hear that nice steady beat coming in. We're going to march slowly to start with. See if you can swing opposite arm. You can't see my feet. The opposite arm off my leg.
I'm a one-man band. Listen to the things that I can do. I can clap my hands. I can, 'cause I'm a one-man band.
For the children, we do march.
I'm a one-man band. Listen to the things that I can do. I can clap my hands. I can stamp my feet. I can, 'cause I'm a one-man band. I'm a one-man band. Listen to the things that I can do. I can clap my hands. I can stamp my feet. I can slap my thighs. I can, 'cause I'm a one-man band.
Okay, we'll put that on hold.
I'm a one-man band.
Okay. So hopefully that just gives you a little example of a song that is body percussion song. We're using our whole body with the marching and the clapping and the different actions and the sequencing. Awful lot going on for the brain, and children, whatever late stage of development they're at, will start to join in and do bits of it, and then bits more of it, and then they'll actually put the singing in as well, and eventually they'll have the whole thing and they can play around with it and take it outside, and they are really developing those key sound processing rhythmic skills through that simple, which I'm sure you can agree, anyone can lead music activity. So this slide is talking a little bit more about the superpower of sound processing, and this is an image that I have borrowed from Charlotte Davies, who runs an organisation called Fit to Learn in the UK. She's an incredible lady with her knowledge of sound processing, and we've learned a lot from working with her. And these are just a few sort of key points that I think are worth bearing in mind. Sound is our first sort of fully formed sense. It has a direct link to 6 cranial nerves, and within the vestibular system in the inner ear, and that's what the image is showing us here, there is a connection to global development. So what neuroscience shows us is that improvements in sound processing have the potential to improve global functioning at whatever age. So, you know, through sound processing therapy, which can be through music and movement activity, certainly in early years, music and movement activity is one of the most effective ways of developing sound processing, you know, that whole range of pitch and tone and, you know, those elements of music that we talked about earlier. Then you can affect global development. And if children at age 7 all had an assessment of their sound processing skills, we will be able to see those children that need that extra help, because if they don't have it and they're trying to scaffold learning on top, they will have problems, because that sound processing needs to be in place as a foundation for particularly language and literacy, but actually global development. So the next slide, just looking at that in a little bit more detail, we can say that regular music activities that use a wide range of pitch, dynamics, tone, timbre, and tempo contribute to development of the sound processing system from birth. So our hearing is actually active in the womb. When a child is born, it is our first most active alarm system. It helps to keep us calm and to be aware of sounds, and of course getting to know our mother tongue of our carer, and already using that musical neural processing network to understand our world. Regular music activities that involve moving with the beat, crossing the midline like we did in the first activity, dancing, postural control, handling sticks and drumming will contribute to the gross and fine motor skills that link to sound processing. So by 7 years old, and it is seen that it wouldn't be expected to be fully developed until children are aged about 7 or 8 years old. If they've had good experiences, sound processing and motor skills, they should, and they are developing typically, they should achieve full motor sensory integration at this age, which means that they can use all of their senses in a most effective way to understand in the world and to thrive in the world. So that means that they can thrive in a school environment and thrive with learning to read and write, because they've got that all essential motor sensory integration foundation in place. Now, moving on to the superpower of rhythmic awareness, the steady beat of the heart is the foundation of life. So we're all born with that innate rhythmic potential, and it's something that just needs to be exercised to develop it further. And some people will find that more of an easy skill to develop than others, but it is practice, repetition, repetition, repetition that can improve this rhythmic awareness, which is so often an issue that holds people back with their language and literacy skills. So again, music and movement in early years is a great remediation to support these foundations that are so important for language and literacy. Through exposure to interaction with a rich and varied music provision, we can develop our rhythmic awareness through activities, keeping the beat, using body and junk percussion, dancing, playing with tempo, different patterns and sequences of sounds, and we can strengthen rhythmic skills for the children we're working with and for ourselves. And just to take that a little bit further, looking at rhythmic awareness as a foundational to language and literacy and relating to specific neuroscience studies that have been done, we can say that words and sentences have intrinsic rhythm. Songs and rhymes have deliberate patterning, and therefore they are very useful in developing the sound processing of stressed syllables. And this is something that can be found to be weak in children that suffer from dyslexia or language issues. And also research shows that drumming, keeping a steady beat, predicts rapid automated naming, so that fast cognitive memory retrieval that's needed when we're learning to read. So therefore we can say without any doubt that strong rhythmic awareness is a skill needed for phonics and learning to read. And rhythmic awareness is best developed through music and movement activities. So I'm just going to mention two other neuroscientists whose work we follow. One is Dr. Nina Kraus, who works in America at the Brain Vaults Project, Northwestern University, for more than a decade now, they've been doing studies to understand the effect of auditory processing of the world and different activities such as music. And they can say that music can boost sound and language processing in the brain. They can say that making music changes the brain with tangible impact on listening, language, learning, social connection, and cognition. And there's particular studies, this one I've picked out because it does talk about the rhythmic link with phonological awareness. But if you go to the website for BrainVault's project, there are so many studies there that they've done over the years that show the wealth of evidence supporting the importance of our auditory processing system for not only for language and literacy, but for other aspects of learning as well. And then we also follow the work of Professor Usha Goswami, who's based at the University of Cambridge. She has a particular interest at looking at how we support children who have dyslexia. And she's able to say from her research that children with dyslexia find it challenging to hear speech rhythm and speech timing, and in perceiving musical rhythm and timing. And therefore, as early years educators, we can take simple steps to benefit language skills and minimize the impact of dyslexia by having a rich and early repertoire of singing and musical remediation, so that we can help children to match syllable beat patterns to language before they start learning to read. Without that foundation, it doesn't matter how many books you put in front of them and read with them, they are not going to find reading easy. So moving on to another song. This is a song which can be linked to whatever story you've been reading or whatever topic you've been exploring. It's called Let's Tap or Let's Clap a Word. So if you don't have rhythm sticks, you can just use your hands and clap. I've got my rhythm sticks here ready. We just use doweling. That can be anything that can be tapped together, can help the children to feel the rhythm. And we would be looking for words that have a 1 tap, then a 2 tap, then a 3 tap, then a 4 tap. And that is helping the children break a word down into its syllables, understanding the rhythm of the word or the syllables of the word, the big chunks of the word, is the first stage of breaking words down into their component parts and then learning to read and write them. So this song, the chorus is just, let's tap a word, let's tap a word, let's tap a word, and now tap. And then there's some actions that we do in the middle that keep the children really entertained and engaged. And this is the other thing that I haven't really mentioned. We know that musical activities can extend the attention span of children. Therefore, you've got much wider opportunity of teaching them and helping them to learn, because they are attentive through the engaging music that you're using. So with this song, we have a shake it all about, let me hear you shout, and the children love to say, yay! We have a shimmy way down low, and then go. And then we have, before the song, we would have a chat with the children about what story we've just been reading. So for example, if we'd been reading, let's say, The Hungry Caterpillar, we would say, can anyone think of an animal in the book or an object in the book that had 1 tap in its name? So we might have a egg, because the caterpillar starts in an egg, and we have 1 tap, egg, 1, egg, 1. Then we might want 2 taps, so we might have apple, because I remember in the book that there's an apple that the caterpillar eats, so we'll have apple, 1, 2, apple, 1, 2. Then we might look for or help the children come up with a word that has 3 taps in its name, and perhaps we could try caterpillar, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's our 4 tap word. So whatever the children come up with, you'll tap it out, you'll count it, tap it, count it, and then they're visualizing in their head how that word is breaking down into its component parts. So let's try that again. Caterpillar, 1, 2, 3, 4. Caterpillar, 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got our 4 taps. Let's try butterfly. I wonder how many taps in the rhythm of the word butterfly. 1, 2, 3. Butterfly. 1, 2, 3. So there we have it. We've got our song. We've got our words for the song. We would put the song on. And I'm hoping that you're hearing the song okay.
Have you heard?
And as I say, do join in. Just use your hands to clap.
So take
We're gonna
your sticks.
feel the beat.
It goes like this.
Let's tap a word. Let's tap a word. Let's tap a word. And now clap. 2, 3, 4.
Let's tap a word. Tap, tap and be happy. Let's tap a word. What will it be? Let's tap
Egg. Egg. Egg.
Let's tap.
Egg. Egg. Egg.
Now shake it all about. Let me hear you shout.
Yay!
Shimmy way down low. Now go.
We'll do it one more time.
Yeah.
Let's tap a word. Do join in. Let's tap a word. Let's tap a word. And now tap.
Let's tap a word. Tap, tap and be happy. Let's tap a word. What will it be? Let's tap.
Apple. Apple. Apple.
Let's tap.
Apple. Apple. Apple.
Now shake it all about. Let me hear you shout.
Yay!
Shimmy way down low.
Now
Go.
And we're off again.
Yeah. Let's
So
tap
I
a
think
word.
that's enough to give you an idea of it. We're short of time, so I won't
Have
do the
you
whole song.
heard?
Ooh,
We're gonna tap.
no, there we go. So you can see how the children's rhythmic awareness, in that case of working with the rhythm of words, is really developing to help their foundations for literacy. We do rhyming songs, we do all of the different elements of phonological awareness, playing with the phonemes of the syllables once we are at the stage of breaking the syllables down into their phoneme sounds. And we have songs for all of those things to make them engaging activities that the children enjoy taking part with. So I just have a couple more slides. Let me do a time check. Yeah, I think I've just got a few more minutes. So impactful music activities. What music works? So we are saying traditional music and nursery rhymes are great. Absolutely, keep doing those. They harness some of the benefits evidenced by neuroscience and research studies. However, to harness all of the benefits, we need to include lots of rhythmic activities, keeping the beat, dancing, playing with tempo and different rhythms, including lots of melodic activities, playing with dynamics, pitch, harmonies, different instruments, whether that's, you know, junk percussion instruments or whatever you have around. And it needs to also engage and motivate everybody involved. That's the teachers, the parents and the children, because obviously children learn from enthusiastic adults. So Boogie Mites have written music based on all of this understanding to have, and I don't know how well you could hear the music in those 3 little examples we did today, but it's music that is as fun and interesting for the adults as it is for the children. It's not dumbed down for children because that's not what you need to do to develop their sound processing. Their brains are very clever. They will work out everything that's going on in that music and they will remember it. And so this is all best achieved through recorded music with linked activities that are informed by the neuroscience evidence and written for this purpose and this age group. That's where Boogie Mites come in. This is what we have been working on over our many, many years of working in early years music making. So to harness the superpower of sound processing and rhythmic awareness for the benefit of children, teachers and parents, we have a big job to do to raise confidence and raise training and resources available, and to really sort of bust that myth that you need to be a musician to lead impactful music and movement, which you absolutely don't. In early years, we can all do it and we can benefit our own development and well-being at the same time. So we've developed an app called Boogie Mites app, Building Strong Foundations for Language and Literacy Through Music. This can be found on our website through the shop, Boogie Mites app. And the first month is free. It's a trial, so You can sign up and there's 18 music activities on there. It's an award-winning digital product. We just discovered actually this week that we have won the highly commended award for best communication, language and literacy product for 2023 in the UK, which is awarded by Teach Early Years, a very prestigious award in this country. So we are very proud of that, having taken years to develop it and trial it. And we've collaborated with children's author Michael Rosen, who wrote We're All Going on a Bear Hunt, a book that many of you will have heard of. And we also work with storyteller Rohini Vij, who is based in India and amazing children's storyteller and phonics teacher. And we work with her on the letter sound songs. There are 66 music activities on the app altogether. They're appropriate for 2 to 5 years. They will build the strong foundations that children need to really fly with their language and literacy. And as I say, the first month trial is free. So hopefully you'll give that a go. Just a little bit more information about how to find out more about Boogie Mite's work. We have a YouTube channel. We have a website with a monthly newsletter that you can sign up for. We actually deliver monthly webinars with co-presenting with other experts, such people as Dr. Catherine Murray and Sue Asquith, who I know are also involved with the Early Childhood Development Forum. So you know them. And we also have social media channels that you can follow. And we have a newly formed Boogie Mite's ABCD Music Methodology Facebook group, where we have a closed community of like-minded early years educators passionate about learning more about how we can embed music in our practice for the benefit of everybody involved. So that's everything I have to say today. I mean, there's so much, I could speak all day, but hopefully that was particularly focused on benefits for language and literacy and a little bit of understanding about the neuroscience evidence. So that's all that's left for me to say is thank you very much. I can stop share. Okay.